Good evening, President Lanier, board members, Superintendent Weatherall, Neal. Tonight I have the pleasure of bringing two colleagues with me. One, Mr. Rodney Lewis, who's the building principal at Ottawa Hills High School. Mr. Lewis. And next, Ms. Bobbi Jo Kenyon, who is a teacher, a science teacher at Ottawa Hills High School. I had the privilege of seeing Ms. Kenyon in action at an Ottawa Hills High School governance board. She presented data about her classes, and she addressed two specific areas. And I was just taken aback of how much hard work I saw put into her presentation. She addressed two specific areas with students, one around the formative assessment piece, and secondly, one around the attendance piece. And a couple of weeks after that presentation, I was told that we had a teacher in our school district who is a finalist for the Michigan Teacher of the Year Award. And let's just say that I was not surprised when I found out that it was Ms. Bobbi Jo Kenyon. This evening I'd like to give you just a little bit of background information on this award. Bobbi Jo was selected as one of 3 regional finalists for the Michigan Teacher of the Year Award. 4 state finalists will be chosen this month, actually this week. There are 2 other teachers who have been selected as finalists in our region, one from Greenville High School and one from East Kentwood High School. Some of the duties of the Michigan Teacher of the Year include serving as an ambassador for Michigan teachers, giving keynote addresses, and leading professional development sessions. Wow. So it's a very prestigious honor. The program is sponsored by the Michigan Department of Education, the State Board of Education, and Mimic Insurance Company. So without any further ado, I would like to give the rest of my time to Mr. Lewis and Ms. Kenyon just to speak about this great honor. Mr. Lewis.
Good evening, President Lanier, board members, Superintendent Neal. It's a privilege to be able to come to you this evening and talk about Mrs. Bobbi Jo Kenyon. Mrs. Kenyon is an exemplary teacher in our building, and we had an opportunity that's pretty unique to nominate her back in September for this prestigious award. And you know, I put a team together to kind of support her through this process to ensure that we had a player at the table. You know, I believe that, you know, sometimes we get lost in the shuffle of the paperwork and the emails and things like that. And so we really don't spend a lot of time of really looking through our organization to find diamonds in the rough or gems. And I think she is one of many that we do have, but she really stood out in my mind to be exemplary. And so I told Mr. Brown, which is Dean of Students, and Ms. Jan Barr, which is our principal's coach, to help support her in this process. And several months later, I look up and guess what? Bobbi Jo Kenyon is a finalist for our region. And I thought that was quite unique, looking at the you know, sometimes when you look at student achievement levels and things like that, that may not be where you want them to be, but there's still people that do an extraordinary job in your organization. And so I think she has exemplified that herself through her instructional practice, through her relationships that she has with kids, through her connections that she has with parents. She demonstrates everything that we look for with effective teaching and learning in the classroom. But that's not the only thing or only reason why I nominated her. When I look at some of the leadership that she has taken in the building as a teacher, she's instructional chair for the science department. She is the co-facilitator of our instructional leadership team in our building. She just does so many things. She's a part of our formative assessment team. She started up a program this year called Girls University through Girl Scouts this year. She's taken the lead, and you know, one of the things that I looked at last year is who are our next leaders in the organization, and she was one of them. And we kind of talked through what that process looks like, you know, moving forward and growing as a career. And you know, she really wants to be a teacher. And so I said, that's great. I love that. But how can you help affect the entire organization? And so she started taking on those leadership roles that we just talked about, instructional leadership team. She also facilitates the new teachers that come into the building from 0 to 36 months. So she works through professional development to help support their growth and development. So, she's been phenomenal, right? And so I'm not going to speak too much longer, but I am going to turn it over to her to speak. But she is an extraordinary teacher for us at Ottawa Hills High School.
That's great.
Thank you, Mr. Garman, Mr. Lewis. Thank you, Ms. Lanier and Neil and the board members for having me here today. Thank you.
So
This is your first opportunity to give a speech, just in case you win this, to go on tour.
So a funny story to share. Ms. Kenyon was a little nervous coming up here this evening, and
Absolutely.
I said, don't worry,
It's
Mr.
okay.
Lewis and I always look for affirmation when we're finished to make sure that we did okay. So therefore, I told Ms. Kenyon that she's really off the hook, but if you have any questions at this
Sure,
time,
that's right.
please feel free
Sure,
to ask.
absolutely.
You guys did a good job.
but she is dynamic in the classroom. You're welcome to come see her at any time. She does communicate very well.
That's great. Any questions, comments, Dr. Fowle?
Well, I think a great teacher is a good listener and doesn't talk a whole lot, so I think that's a good indication. I want to thank you, Mr. Lewis, for putting forward the nomination and recognizing leadership and developing it. That's huge. And I'm wondering when you have time for anything outside of everything you're doing, but
Not a lot at all, but Mr. Lewis has really pushed me toward that more of the leadership role and kind of got me out of my comfort zone, and I really thank him for that, and has made a big difference, and I feel like I have more of an influence than just my own classroom, but spreading it among the other classrooms and working with Grand Rapids. I've been here 16 years with Grand Rapids, all my teaching, and I just love it, and I love the inner city, and that was the big part that I talked about. I had a radio interview a couple weeks ago, was just what wonderful teachers we have here in Grand Rapids, and the education is quality education. And one of the things that I did say in my interview is, one of the big things that hit me was when I had a parent that said, well, my child must be failing in these classes because you guys must not be good teachers. You're in Grand Rapids. If you were good teachers, you would be in Kentwood or Forest Hills or something. And that's part of the word I want to get out, is there's good teachers everywhere. And we have great teachers in our school system, in our school. And just for more of the community and the parents to realize, we have people that care, and we might work with a different population, but these kids need us, and they need good, high-quality teachers in the classroom. And the way the district has been moving is so positive, and I'm so encouraged by it. And the growth even that I've seen in our building and our classrooms and our teachers moving forward, and the growth they're making and their teaching skills, and it's just wonderful. And I just want the community to know the quality teachers that they have here.
That's great. Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Wonderful to hear.
Absolutely.
I actually have I'm going to ask you a question, but I don't want it to for myself. But I do take exception with Dr. Fowle's characterization there, because I think I'm a great teacher. But
You certainly
Anyway.
talk a lot.
thank you.
Where you teaching?
Walk right into that.
I teach at Ferris State University. There's some distinguished visitors from Ferris State, some emerging teachers sitting right behind you. So why is it that you are such a strong advocate for teaching in Grand Rapids Public Schools? I'd like to hear. And partly I'm asking you that so the people behind you can hear you.
Well, a big thing that I hear people is writing off a lot of the inner city kids, not seeing them as going to college or their aspirations and goals. And we have had such a push for college. I've definitely seen it at Ottawa. Just, kids are in that frame of mind now. And I have all kinds of students writing me back and contacting me from different colleges. And I just had a med student that was going into med school that just made it contact me. And there's so many avenues and so many great places. And I think a lot of times they write off the kids, just get them through. But there's so much more, and the aspirations that these kids have can't be forgotten.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm just so passionate to help a group that might be the first generation going to college. that have goals and dreams to become all they can be.
Great.
Great. Thanks.
Just to add on to that, and we'll close. But in her narrative that she wrote to the Michigan Department of Education, she shared with them on a number of occasions I was offered other jobs by teachers that enticed me to move to other districts, and that it was easier an environment is what they called it. And so her response to that, Ms. Kenyon's response to that is, it's not about just being easy, it's about making an impact. And so I think that was the critical component when I read this that really stuck out to me in her work. So.
That's great.
What you didn't get to see were some people behind you that was very moved by what you had to say. So, anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.